We rebooked WrestleMania, we rebooked Judgment Day, and now we are at SummerSlam. There were some issues with rebooking SummerSlam, um, specifically about certain matches not really being expected. But the fact of the matter is, it is time for us to jump in and rebook SummerSlam. I am going to move the pay per view though because I don't like the idea of running it in Fenway Park again. I love the fact that we're going to Wrigley Field instead. I love the fact that we're going to Wrigley Field instead. But I think the better place to go would be the UIC Pavilion. I mean, the United Center instead. And now we jump in with what is a pre planned pay per view for the most part. And we're going to kick it off with Vampiro against Kane. I do believe the last video that I did was um, having to do with me purchasing MLW. And Vampiro is one of the many people that came over in the MLW deal. We also had the original plan was to do a title versus champion match with the tag team division, but I scrapped that and replaced it with two separate title defenses for the SmackDown and Raw tag team titles. You also have the brand supremacy battle for brand supremacy between Shawn Michaels and John Cena, handicap match with Booker T and Chase Stevens against Batista, Abyss in his first pay per view match against Jerry Lynn. And I will try and remember to do what I've occasionally done, and that is pair up the SmackDown and Raw announcers with the SmackDown and Raw announcers. But phase one, James Mitchell, phase one. James Mitchell and Abyss have been talking in talking in what's the word? Riddles since they debuted. Abyss has worked for me since April, actually. And one of the reasons why I brought Abyss in, and Abyss actually has defeated every single person that he's worked with. And actually, May was his first pay per view. And he also worked on the pre show of Great American Bash. He did not work on Insurrection, but the reason why I stole Abyss from TNA is because if you look at his TNA run, loss, 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 loss. Like every step of the way, it was losses for Abyss, and I just hated the amount of losses that I saw on his part. And I would have let him stay just to test. I would have. The initial plan was to test run, see how things went, see if I could get him over, and if I could get him over, great, sign him to a written deal, and move forward like that. But seeing him lose every single match he was in, and me doing the opposite way, yes, he hasn't competed a lot for me. He's competed in 14 matches in what? 14 matches in um, April, May, June, July, August. in 4 months. I mean, that's actually kind of good, but this is his first match of any significance against Jerry Lynn, because basically the only reason why I brought Jerry Lynn in was to feud with Abyss. Simple as that. That is the only reason why I brought Jerry Lynn in. The only reason was to feud with Abyss. That's it. Um, Jeff Jarrett. I mean, JJ Dillon also came in on the with the JJ Dillon also came in with the deal with MLW, and there was also somebody else that came in on the deal with MLW that will actually be thrown on the show here. That being Raven. See, the benefit is Raven is on an ongoing contract. I don't understand why Shane Douglas was on a, I'm assuming a per appearance deal. Yeah, he was on a per appearance deal, 8 month contract with MLW when I brought him in. I had no idea that he was. So when I sent him away, I then get an email saying that Shane Douglas is now running out of contract and I can't re-sign him because of Shane's problems with Ric Flair, Shane's problems with Vince, Shane's problems with Shawn Michaels, Triple H. He's got a shit ton of problems with a shit ton of people, so Shane Douglas has got to go. But Raven, on the other hand, has got an ongoing contract, and Raven has just been sitting in the crowd, even though he has a bad relationship with Vince and Eric. Raven has just been sitting in the crowd, and I could do the slow burn with something with Raven, which I couldn't do with Shane Douglas because Raven is on an ongoing contract, and I have plenty of time to circle back and do things with Raven that I don't necessarily have the opportunity to do with um, that I don't necessarily have the opportunity to do with what's his name, Shane Douglas. And now Rikishi and Scotty actually won the belts. I think I think they won the titles in England at Insurrection. I could be wrong. They just won the belts recently. Yeah, they won the belts at Insurrection from World's Greatest Tag Team, which unfortunately World's Greatest Tag Team just didn't really have the best run after beating the Bashems for the belts. And just the SmackDown Tag Team titles in general have really just been lackluster thus far. You know what I mean? Um, they've just been lackluster so far, and I would, in a heartbeat, put the belts on Regal and Kennedy because I freaking love William Regal, but at the same time, Kennedy is not ready for a title. He is not ready for a title. It has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with me not wanting to take the belts off Too Cool yet. With Sylvan wishing them well, but ulterior motives. The last couple of weeks, Sylvan has been heaping the praise on Rick Martel, and he's been heaping the praise on Rick Martel, and basically, he's been heaping the praise on Rick Martel to weasel his way into the tag team with William Regal because initially Sylvain Grenier and William Regal were supposed to be the tag team. That's why one of the reasons why I broke up La Resistance, one of the reasons why I moved Sylvain to SmackDown. But I was enjoying having Kennedy and Regal, and I was trying to get Kennedy over because, in my opinion, one of the easiest ways to get people over is pairing him up with a, one of my favorite ways, I should say, not one of the easiest ways. One of my favorite ways is pairing him up with a veteran and um, and getting him over that way. But I mean, I don't know how long I had it going on, but it's just not working out. To be honest with you, it's just not working out with Kennedy and Regal. So I may go in a different direction and send Kennedy down to developmental. And yes, you read that right. The Warrior is facing the Undertaker. The Warrior was one of the many people that were brought in through the MLW purchase. One of the reasons why I decided to purchase MLW was because there was a lot of people on the roster that I would not have the opportunity. I would not have had the opportunity to work with had I not purchased the company. You know what I mean? I would have not had. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with a lot of these guys had I not had the opportunity to purchase the company. So it's the question of what, was it worth it? And the answer, yeah, yeah, it actually was, because it gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of people that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with, or bring under contract. Screw it. I mean, there's no reason to slow burn that match. Honestly, there's no reason to slow burn this match because there's nothing to it. I hate the fact that I'm not giving anything to a unification match, but the fact of the matter is, with how things are, with how it is, and technically I haven't done the unification match yet. Um, technically I haven't done a unification match yet. I just had Kid Cash win the junior heavyweight title from Paul Diamond. Um, it's the idea that you know with their status and just everything, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It just really doesn't make sense. So Vince McMahon has put. I don't know if anybody has not watched this video before, but Vince McMahon has been feuding with The Rock over the fact that Vince wants gratitude from The Rock, because Vince feels like without Vince McMahon, there would be no Dwayne Johnson, there would be no Hollywood success, there would be no future after WWE. So he has wanted Dwayne to show his gratitude. And now it's gotten to the point where Vince is threatening to fire Eric Bischoff if Eric can't pick somebody from the Raw roster to dethrone and teach The Rock a lesson. But it also gives Rene Dupree the opportunity to, it gives Rene Dupree the opportunity to um, be featured in a premiere and a prime spot on a pay per view against a top of the line guy, and also be featured in a positive way, which is what I've been trying to do since he was let go from La Resistance, or since he was the one that sparked the turn with La Resistance. wondering about SmackDown, but also extending the invitation anytime, anywhere. We've been I last week on SmackDown. Last week on SmackDown, HBK showed up to promote his match with. Why the hell was it 57? What? Um, to promote his match. Oh, that makes sense. I thought it was Angle. Oh, okay. To promote his match with John Cena tonight, but Kurt Angle took exception to HBK being on his show, and now now we're setting up teasing tension, planting the seeds, dropping a little bit of, you know, what if Kurt Angle fought Shawn Michaels, because the match hasn't happened thus far, but it's teasing the possibility of the match happening in the not too distant future, but it's not happening tonight. It ain't happening tonight. That's all we know. That's all we know for certain is it ain't happening tonight. Um, Actually, let's clear out, let's clear out the pre-booking before we start adding other bookings. Also, uh, the reason why Eddie is facing a Black Tiger is because Eddie is Eddie lost his match at Insurrection to Kurt Angle due to the interference from Black Tiger. And if you don't know the significance of Black Tiger, it is that Black Tiger was Eddie Guerrero's one of Eddie Guerrero's former names. He wore a mask in Japan as one of the incarnations of the Black Tiger. After Rollerball Mark Rocco was the first Black Tiger, Eddie did spend some time under the mask in Japan as the Black Tiger. I mean, I've been pondering and watching and wondering and thinking, when do I turn Chavo? When do I turn Chavo? And part of me doesn't really want to be honest with you. Part of me doesn't really want to. Because, plain and simple, well, the babyface roster is would be losing another member of the roster, and the heel roster doesn't really need another addition, so, you know, brushes off Benoit and Mysterio. Unfortunately, I wanted to do the handicap match, and because it was a handicap match, I thought that Batista would be able to win. I mean, Batista would be able to lose, but does that mean that Batista won't even lose to Booker T in a singles match? You know what I mean? Like, would Batista not even lose to Booker T in a singles match? It's like I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, to be honest with you. And there are some matches that need to be added. There are some matches that need to be added. And I did go in a different direction with it. I mean, actually, including the world title matches because Ric Flair and Chris Jericho is on it, but Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle isn't. Um, Kid Cash and Billy Kidman. Uh, there was another. The women's title match. The women's title match needs to be added as well. And the Intercontinental title match, Test versus Rob Van Dam. I've taken on all comers thus far. I'm actually borrowing cheerleader Melissa from developmental because I actually don't have babyface women to fill in against Molly Holly because Trish and Lita are busy with Kong and Lacey, so they gotta worry about that match instead. So Molly Holly will actually get a successful title defense. Molly Holly will actually be getting a successful title defense, which she has won. Oh, against Jacqueline. No. Oh, Aaron Angel on Heat. I think that was an England show. I could be wrong. I think that was a show in England though. Again, Evolution. There has been tension teased over the last couple of weeks. And Triple H walks up. There has been tension teased because ever since Triple H returned from his little brief vacation after losing the WWE Championship to Chris Jericho, Orton has been seen talking to members of Evolution, and that anytime Triple H appears, Orton walks away. So there has been tension teasing within the ranks of Evolution. And honestly, the problem with this rivalry is whatever excitement that I had with this rivalry slowly but surely dissipated and disappeared. And I'm just ready for it to end, to be honest with you. I'm just ready for it to end. I'm ready to let it go and move on from it because there just really isn't anything there as far as meat on the bone. And I think Edge would be better off. Fighting other people. Big Show would be better off fighting other people. It's just would be better off if they all went their separate ways. You know what I mean? And I also may run out of pay per view time, but I'm hoping that I don't. But I just may not be able to run it the way I normally run the pay per views and may have to cut some of the time. Let's give this match a little bit more time because there's no reason to make it a squash match. Uh, um, well, Billy Kidman. To be fair, Billy Kidman and them don't have to be featured. Lillian tries to get a word with Eric before he leaves. But Eric is making haste out the building. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to book this, and I was actually able to figure out a way to give Batista the victory and protect Booker T and Chase Stevens. And the way I'm gonna do that is Randy Orton assists Booker T. I mean, Randy Orton assists Batista, and Randy Orton assists Batista against Booker T and Chase Stevens. I know. You can't have, with the amount of time I have left, I'm running low on time. But I can't not have that type of match and not book it the way I booked it. Because also, I'm not going to get that type of time out of this match because Ric Flair just can't go 20 minutes anymore, in my opinion. But gotta have Jim Ross and Lawler. We'll go Jim Ross and Taz. Um, hmm. Dusty and Randy. For Unforgiven, which Randy accepts, but is knocked on his ass. Dusty sees the Dusty sees the sneak attack coming a mile away and knocks Randy on his ass. Of course, we still have the WWE title match to come with Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. First taste of being a flag bearer, the man behind the brand. And I won't disappoint. And actually, I have the perfect match in mind, but we're running out of time, so I may actually throw Kane and Vampiro on the pre show. Let's actually book everything and see how things go after we fill everything in. Angle's been the champion for 56 days. Hmm. Hold that thought for right now. Because I may have an idea. Yeah, we gotta readjust. Gotta move you to the pre-show, and then that should leave room for the Undertaker and the Warrior. Because I'm not expecting this match to have to go long because it's the Undertaker versus the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, it can't go long. Warrior doesn't have the stamina to do that. But it's also a good buffer match to cool the crowd down between the two world title matches. How much time do we have? Okay, we got enough time for a Taker promo. Shadows from my past are breathing new light. Clearly, somebody has been stalking The Undertaker. Clearly somebody has been stalking The Undertaker over the last couple of weeks and is basically being given, you know, there's been rumors of a bounty being placed on the head of The Undertaker. There has been rumors of a bounty being placed on the head of The Undertaker, and someone coming around to cash in, but there has not been confirmation that there is a bounty on the head of The Undertaker. But shadows from his past, like Papa Shango, like Viscera, like the Ultimate Warrior, have been popping up. I wish I had the opportunity to have. I wish I had the opportunity to have someone like um, someone like Jake Roberts get into a feud with the Undertaker, but Jake Roberts was not able to stick around for circumstances outside of my control. But we have a possible ring toss. Let's see. I guess I just freestyle it. Leaving questions to wonder, is Mordecai the one that has been stalking The Undertaker and sending his shadows to fight for him against The Undertaker? That's a question that has to be answered this week, or will be answered this week on SmackDown. Okay, so now I'm going to go with the small semantics. Steal the show. Wild Brawl. I used every single solitary second. I used every single solitary second, and we even now have to pencil in Rob Van Dam. Uh, I unfortunately think I'm gonna move the women's title match to the B show or the pre-show. I think I gotta move the women's title match to the B show and pencil in the Intercontinental title match to the A show or to the pay per view because there was just too much planned for the pay per view. There was just too much planned for the pay per view. I mean, technically I could move one of the title matches, one of the tag team title matches off the show because neither of them were given a lot of time to simmer. But the fact of the matter is, it's better to keep them on. I mean, I don't really have. I don't really have anything else that necessarily needs to be on the show. I mean, Trish and Lita should have something on the show, to be honest. So maybe we replace this segment with Trish and Lita. Ready for a fight, but Lacey appears unwilling and will be ready on Raw. So at least it is accounted for. I did have plans. I did have plans, being honest, for a bigger spectacle for the women's division and a more infusion of the women's division. But the fact of the matter is, other things got a little bit more attention and my attention was taken away from the idea of making that happen. And basically, it's not that the initial idea is not going to happen; it's just not going to happen at SummerSlam. The other idea was Benoit defeating Angle thanks to Shawn Michaels. But I don't want to do the match yet between Angle and Shawn, so I kind of don't want to have Angle and Shawn, like the intensity level, hit a boiling point right now just yet. You know what I mean? I don't want to have the intensity level hit a boiling point just yet. And I think actually I'm going to give a bit more time to this match and take the time from Shawn and Cena. Of course, I need to take one more minute. So I'll take a minute from Jericho and Nage. But I think that well, let's see what happens. Let's finally break into the pay per view. 82 pre show. Good job, Kay. Got an 82 out of Vampiro. Solid. I wish it was still. I wish I had the opportunity to put it on the show, and if I didn't have, the pre angle with, if I didn't have the pre angle with William Regal and that little added thing, I could have moved that to the pre show too, but Next time. Next time. Next time. Abyss gets his biggest win thus far against Jerry Lynn. Raven is again sitting in the crowd. And here's the segment that I didn't want to move, leading to the match that now we're going to move into a different direction. I'm going to give Kennedy one more shot. And if Kennedy is just not where I want him to be as far as, as far as in ring performance, then I would say I'm going to move him away from, I'm going to move him away from William Regal and replace Regal's partner. But now we got a unification match of sorts. I don't even think the MLW tag team titles were on the line, to be honest with you, because I would have said that the I mean, if that's the case, then you would have seen the MLW tag team titles. But I will say we got a sellout though, so that's good. Rene Dupree did not do well. Eric Bischoff did not do well. Vince McMahon carried the segment. Solid, but a perfect way to get The Rock on the show. And, that's one of those cases of this is why The Rock doesn't need to be featured every month because he would take a spot away from other people. And what do you expect from Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels? I should have done it, but what are you gonna do? I mean, in that situation, would I have not just put the belts back on Angle at like No Mercy? Hmm. Then what? You have the first match at Survivor Series, the rematch at WrestleMania. How about I keep it under my head? How about I keep it under my head? Benoit's involved with the Eddie and Chavo thing because of his friendship, but Christian finally regains his momentum and wins his return feud against Matt Hardy. Rob Van Dam sets up his match with Test, and Randy Orton continues to tease usurping Triple H. He continues to tease usurping Triple H as the leader of Evolution, with Randy and Batista talking, and then Triple H walking up and Randy walking away. Rob Van Dam retains the Intercontinental Championship against Test. Edge against Big Show. Again, like I mentioned, Edge and Big Show. Holy moly. That was a 90. How could I have expected Edge and Big Show to get a 90? Holy shit. That's crazy. Trish and Lita are trying to help develop Lacey and Awesome Kong. Batista, with help from Randy, beats Booker T and Chase Stevens. Cena set for his match against the Heartbreak Kid, which unfortunately was a bit underwhelming. It was a bit underwhelming. And now Dusty Rhodes gets physical with Randy Orton for the very first time, setting up for their match at Unforgiven, with Dusty coming back to the ring for the very first time after returning to the WWE a couple months ago to set up a feud with Randy. Jericho and Ric Flair did as well as I could expect. Jericho and Ric Flair did as well as I could expect. Paul Bearer and The Undertaker set up their match with the Warrior, and about as well as I could expect. And I think the Warrior will likely be released after this match, because the Warrior is on an ongoing. Holy moly! What? Huh? What? I'm sorry. What? I'm dumbfounded right now. Maybe I should bring up Mordecai for a short feud with the Undertaker. That actually was a little disappointing. I guess maybe I should have given him a little bit more time. Oh, it's because they weren't associated with an angle. The lack of associated storyline, burnt out crowd. Yeah, that makes sense. These guys got to have a rematch because these guys will make magic. I 100% believe that. But the reason why I chose to keep the belt on Angle is because I could keep it under my hat and use it at a later date. But Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle is definitely a feud, a rivalry, a match that I'm excited to be able to do and build up my own way because that's what I'm doing. But I hope you enjoyed my me rebooking SummerSlam 2004. And if you did, feel free to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to ding that notification bell to always know when a new video is up on the channel. And with that being said, I want to wish you a very happy, healthy new year. And I am looking forward to spending an entire 12 months sharing my content with each and every one of you and making videos for you guys over the course of 2023. I very much appreciate the support that you have given me over the last few months since I started, coming onto YouTube. You've welcomed me with open arms, and I can't wait to spend the entire 2023, the new calendar year, with all of you. So, till next time, I will see you soon.